Cleveland Browns are going to be awesome this year. But there are a couple people on offense that we believe we got some concerns about. You'll hear this next coming up on the Locked On Browns podcast.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Appreciate all of you. Make Locked On Browns your first listen. Whether it's your favorite podcast platform, make sure you're following, subscribe to the Locked On Browns podcast, 5-star ratings, written reviews. Also available now on YouTube. Subscribers up to about the 600 number. Let's keep those coming here. For your hosts, Jeff Lloyd, at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, at G-Bush91, Mr. G-Money, Garrett Bush, part of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and, of course, the Barbershop on 92.3 The Fan. As Garrett gave you here in the opening, there's no roster that's ever perfect. And, to go into any training camp, any time of this point of the year in the NFL season, there's questions. Some of these may not necessarily be concerns as much as they are questions. Some legitimately could be concerns. Obviously, the Browns took a hit yesterday with Akeem Hicks agreeing to a free agent deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a much anticipated player. Fans and alike were hoping the Browns would bring in to secure that room. We're going to talk about that on the offensive side. We're going to talk about it on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to give up some not so happy blasts from the past. Garrett may dig back a little deeper. I'm going to go from my time here covering the team since 2017 on. But Garrett, on the offensive side of the ball, again, nothing is ever perfect. Nothing is scripted to be perfect. You have to understand that's going into the NFL. Offensive side of the ball here, what would maybe be the major question or concern in your opinion?
Well, it came down for me to two players. I was first of all looking at Jesuit Wills, but for me, Jesuit Wills, I think it was more due to him just being injured throughout the year. When I saw the ankle injury against Kansas City, he was really not the same player. And when you're being a left tackle and you're going against some of the best edge rushers in the game, and you don't have an ankle to kind of pivot off of, to push off of, and it keeps getting re-injured. There was a point in time during the season where I thought they should just put him on IR. I'll give him credit. He gutted it out a little bit, but, if you ask him, I think he would tell you he had a bit of a down year in regards to what he thought he was able and capable of doing. For me, it's Jack Conklin. And Conklin, not because he can't play, not because, he isn't a great right tackle. It's the fact that he's been injured, and he's been injured throughout his career. And when you have a injury like the injury he had, where you have multiple things going on with your kneecap, ligament damage, that's kind of hard for a big guy to get back to. You know what I mean? Bigger guys, there's more weight involved. Now you're figuring out how am I going to get back to what I want to do? Strengthening that leg back up again, and just being able to be dominant and firing off the ball are all things that you kind of worry about when you deal with linemen get in his stance every single play. So that's bending your knee, getting that weight on your back hunches. You're firing out. You're explosive every single play. And for other receivers, you stand up. Running backs are standing up. Tight ends, for the most part, they don't really block that much, but they're standing up. So when you look at the pressure that's on his knee and the pressure on what he needs to do, I think that's a bit of a concern for me. And if the Browns want to get to a point where that running game is solidified, just think how great they ran the ball when all five of those guys were up there. No one was hurt. And the Browns became the top offensive rushing team and one of the best teams blocking up front. He was upright, he was ready to go, and he was healthy. I'm interested to see if he's able to come back the same way this year.
And with Conklin, there's an interesting thing here. I mean, maybe it's something that doesn't bother him in run blocking. Maybe it's something that bothers him in pass blocking going backwards. I mean, it could be a vice versa type of thing. So something certainly interesting to watch there. For me, there is one interesting scenario with the two players you mentioned between Jesuit Wills and Jack Conklin. We don't really necessarily know where we're at with Jedrick Wills for the future. Jack Conklin, it looks like as of right now, this is the last year of his contract with the Browns. What if Jedrick Wills doesn't take the world on fire next year at left tackle? What if Jack Conklin doesn't play so great? Do you maybe go flip-flop, put Jedrick Wills back at right tackle for next season where he was comfortable, where he was drafted from out of Alabama, and then maybe go find yourself a new left tackle? Something to consider. And the other thing with Conklin is I have a good friend who's a huge Tennessee Titans guy. And basically when the Browns signed him, he said, look, he is the anti-JC Tretter. JC Tretter, when injured, is the same exact player he always was. Problem with Jack Conklin, a little bit more of an athletic guy, the way he's built. So if an offensive lineman, when he's dinged up, you're not getting his best play. And we've seen that fluctuate throughout Jack Conklin's career in Tennessee, certainly in his time here with the Cleveland Browns. For me, and I'm not going to say it's a concern, but sure, it is definitely a concern. It is Nick Harris. The interior of the Cleveland Browns offensive line the last few years has been outstanding. It may have been one of the best in the NFL. You have now moved on from JC Tretter. Everything you think with putting Nick into this position. Look, he took almost every practice snap since he's been here. JC Tretter doesn't practice. We all know this. We always knew this. It was part of the deal with JC. But he showed up every Sunday, every Monday night, Sunday night, whatever it was, and balled out. So for Nick Harris here, he's certainly gotten the experience within the system. As this system started, he was a draft choice of theirs in the 5th round. Took every snap in practice. 99.9% of the snaps. Does have one NFL start at center against the Green Bay Packers. Certainly looked very promising that day last year on Christmas Day. Played a little guard in 2020. Definitely looked overmatched there. But Nick Harris, the Browns have had great center play in the time with JC Tretter. So moving on from JC was going to be difficult regardless because you knew what you had in JC Tretter. The Browns think Nick Harris is totally capable of doing this job and doing it at a pretty high level, but it don't matter. That's all great. And you know what I'm saying? And you can think everything is going to happen, but there's no way they're going to know until the game is actually played. And, I'm rooting for Nick Harris. Obviously, the Browns saw something in him in 2 years. They kept seeing something in him as JC Tretter was able to manipulate this through this injury longer than most people expected. And the reason JC Tretter's still not signed now is it's an issue with his injury. Because what is what he is worth as opposed to the injury. And, for some teams, in a new system, maybe it's difficult to say he's only going to show up on Friday. He'll be ready to go. How do you manipulate through that? So for me, Nick Harris, for you guys, Garrett Bush, Jack Conklin, we all know what's going on at the guard position. We think Jedrick Wills healthy here. We're going to see some flashes here in year 3, hopefully. But obviously questions, concerns with the Browns offensive line are going to be Jack Conklin coming off an injury and Nick Harris taking over as as basically the understudy now becomes the professor here for the Cleveland Browns at the center position. We've got something here for you guys from Built Bar. I think you're all going to be a little bit excited about this. We're going to come back. We're going to flip the script here. We're going to go to the defensive side of the ball here, see where maybe our biggest concerns may be there. We've been asking, and Built has finally delivered. Built granola bars are here. Built granola bars come in 3 unbelievable flavors: chocolate peanut butter, chocolate coconut, and white chocolate berry. Want to try all 3 flavors? Well, go online and get a mixed box at Built.com right now. These are so different from the Built bars and the Built Puffs. Built granola bars are loaded with granola. It's the perfect combination of crunch and chewiness. But just like the bars and the puffs, these babies are jacked with protein and covered in 100% real chocolate. 150 calories, 15 grams of protein, and only 4 grams of sugar. Built granola bars will change your world. Built has cracked the code to better granola. They are perfectly healthy snack to pack in your lunch, take on the road, or just eat as a snack. And they're made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. So if you've been waiting for a healthy and delicious granola bar to hit the market, this is your time. Head to Built.com right now to get the Built granola bars. 3 delicious flavors to try. Again, chocolate peanut butter, chocolate coconut, and white chocolate berry. Don't miss out. You got to get yours today. Go to Built.com to get Built granola bars right now. Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
Locked on Brown podcast brought to you by Garrett Bush and Jeff Lloyd. Make sure you go ahead and you follow us at GBush91, at Jeff __ LJ _ Lloyd. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We tweeting and kind of, teetering around, 600. We need to get to 1,000. That's what we need to do. Help us get to that goal of 1,000. If you are downloading the podcast, make sure you continue to download that podcast and continue to make the Locked On the Browns your first stop of the day. Jeff, we talked a little bit about what's going on the offensive side of the football. Let's get to the defensive side of the football here. The Browns have done some things to get the defensive side of the football where they needed to do. Clowney is back. We love that move. You locked up Denzel Ward. Love that move. Second year of JOK, second year of Newsome. Newsome's playing in the slot a little bit, but there are some question marks. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. Some of these defensive tackles are going off the board. Some of these defensive tackles are out here moving around. Now, we look at, Ndamukong Suh. I think Mary Kay reported that the Browns are kind of out on that as well. So when I'm looking at the position and the guy I'm looking at most is Tavin Bryant. That is one of the free agents that they did bring in. He's 26 years old, from Jacksonville. He's been there his whole entire career. When you look at his production, you haven't seen much. Only 5.5 sacks his whole entire career there. Last year with the Jacksonville Jaguars, he played in 15 games, didn't start any of those games. The year prior to that, he started 8 games, and in 2019, he started 8 games. So you got two things here. You got a guy who does not have much production, a guy who's not a frontline starter with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the crazy thing about it is it's the Jaguars. The Jaguars are not some world beater full of guys. I mean, they don't have Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor he had to beat out. I mean, it's Jacksonville. So if you telling me you can't start any games, you don't have a production in Jacksonville, I'm looking at you like, okay, well, can I really count on you to be a penciled in starter? And so for me, that's more of a question mark than anything still in the defensive tackle room, because I still don't know what Jordan Elliott is going to give me. I still don't know what Togiai is. I still don't know what Sheldon Day is. All these guys are kind of vying for those positions. That's why Perrion Winfrey to me is one of the more important, guys after the third round. Usually you don't trust guys after the third round to come in and play significant minutes for you. But in this case, I think it might be a situation because to me, I don't know what Tavin Bryant is. I don't know if he's a playmaker. I don't know if he's a difference maker. He may just be, he played for the Jaguars, but he may be a Jag himself, just a guy.
That was a nice slip in there. I like that. That was good. That was good. I'm going to stick at the position. Look, yesterday we highlighted the linebacker room. We couldn't be more excited about it. The cornerback room could not be more excited about it. We think the safety room, Grant Delpit here, will year 3, but technically year 2 on the field. More confident now as he came back from the Achilles injury. You figure John Johnson III going to be a little bit more comfortable this year in the secondary, second year within the system here. Defensive end room. I love the fact that Clowney comes back. You have the 2 rookies in. Certainly in Isaiah Thomas and the other edge rookie you brought in here. But the other, I love the fact that you're not going to put too much on these guys because the fact that you have Chase Winovich, who, has a reputation as being a nickel and dime third down pass rusher. So you're not going to have to put too much on these guys right away. It is that defensive tackle room. And I think we all kind of thought, maybe Akeem Hicks would be the guy. The deal, if it's up to $10 million, this is where the Browns maybe have in issue. A guy like that, he's going to turn 32 this fall, Akeem Hicks. The Browns last year brought in Malik Jackson, and what they got was the 1 year past the prime in Malik Jackson. So they paid for everything Malik Jackson had done in the NFL, but not necessarily did anything for them. So this is a slippery slope. The Browns would like to bring in a veteran defensive tackle, but they don't want to pay what overvalue. Plus, they also have a little bit of a heartbreak, a little bit of broken heart for Malik Jackson. They went that route last year. The money they paid certainly didn't work into the production of Malik Jackson. I got to look at Tommy Togiai. Every one of these guys, Jordan Elliott, when he was drafted, the reputation was as a pass rusher. Tavon Bryant, we're not really sure what Tavon Bryant is, but I guess it's maybe a little bit more pass rusher than run stopper. And then the other guys within that room, nobody's really got the reputation of who's going to be the run stopper. Even Perrion Winfrey, who they drafted, what highlighted everybody and got everybody excited down in Mobile, Alabama, was his pass rushing skills. So I got to look at Tommy Togiai. Tommy Togiai coming out of Ohio State. Everybody thought it was a year too early for Tommy Togiai to declare. Probably should have been a part of the 2022 draft class. Maybe would have went a lot higher. Hey, look, everybody makes their decisions in life. He is the only one you're going to look at and had tape at Ohio State where he had some significant impact in defending the run. Granted, this is all an unknown, very similar to Nick Harris. Until we see you truly do it, we can think all the positive thoughts we want, but the proof is in the pudding. And with Tommy Togiai, I think Togiai, it's an extremely, extremely important thing to put on him. 5th round pick from 2021. You hate to do this to a guy and that he's really barely played. But looking at the way that this room is currently constructed, and keep in mind, it could change. They could find that veteran that maybe fits this mix. Somebody has to have some sort of pedigree in being able to push back the center or soaking up the double team so we can make sure Anthony Walker and Jeremiah Wusu-Koromoa can do their job. Almost every defensive tackle on this roster is under 300 pounds. You need some sort of guy. And everybody knows Pete Smith and I, good friends, great friends. We talk all the time. And we got into it a little bit yesterday on Twitter. And his thing is 3rd and goal from the 1. Who's going on the field for the Browns at the defensive tackle position? Who's going to try and stop Najee Harris at 240 pounds in the hole and make sure he doesn't score a decisive touchdown in a crucial ball game? Right now, we don't really have that answer. But if I have to put somebody out there. And the only one that looks like he could be the guy to make that happen is Tommy Togiai. This is what he did at Ohio State. He was part of a great defensive line. He knows how to play with great players around him. It's a big, big year for Tommy Togiai. And if he can be, and I'm not saying, look, he's got to be a Pro Bowl player. He ain't got to be a star. He doesn't even have to play in nickel and dime, but he's got to be able to play in 1st and 10. He's got to be able to play in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5. He's got to be able to play in goal line. But Tommy Togiai needs to be the guy in that defensive tackle room. Basically, the guy that carries the toolboxes, the guy that moves around the heavy equipment and says, yeah, I'll take on 700 pounds of 2 dudes trying to push me backwards because that is what my assignment to do. For me, it's Tommy Togiai. Need him to step up in a major way.
Definitely agree. I like him. I like his pedigree better than all the other guys. When you turned on his film from Ohio State, he had the ability to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And I'm a guy, I don't like guys that just, jumping on piles. We can't do that. Or guys not getting no penetration, guys getting washed down the line, bro. Listen, you pulling your pads up the whole game. I need some production. At least, hey, back then, they used to say back in the day, get in there. Get in there. Like, they didn't tell you how you was going to get back. Just get in the backfield. I just need you to be back there.
If you're going to give up the rep, just ask off the field. We'll get somebody else out there.
Right. Hey, you standing up, bro. Hey, all I see, you 10 yards down the field trying to hustle it out. No, our plays are made behind the line of scrimmage. So I think I like his pedigree, but the Browns got to find something. I'm a little disturbed about this D tackle room right now. I am.
I think there's a certain way you look at this from the Cleveland perspective. Look at the Watson suspension, whatever could come with that is notwithstanding. What they're looking at is we are a team that's going to be a lot more effective on offense. We are going to score a lot more points. So stopping critical run plays, the Browns are hoping that that's not the issue. What they're thinking about is, we're going to be up 10 in the 4th quarter. So I can put out Myles Garrett. I can put out Jadeveon Clowney. I can put Perrion Winfrey. I can put Isaiah Thomas. I can put Chase Winovich. I can put all these guys out there and get after the quarterback. That's all well and good in theory. But until that happens, and again, you want your roster to be perfect, but you go into this process of understanding that is not a realistic thing to have. It's not a realistic dream. You'd love for it to happen, but anything, and even still, if it is perfectly constructed, guess what? One high ankle sprain changes the outlook of any positional room right off the bat. So some guys here, obviously the defensive side of the ball here for us is looking at the defensive tackle position, because until somebody comes in here with a bigger name, with a bigger reputation, with a bigger overall body of work that's proven to have done it on the interior, somebody's got to step up. Maybe it's a Tavin Bryant finally finding something in his NFL career. Maybe it's Tommy Togiai in year 2 making a huge step. We're hoping, we need it, because right now that looks like And of any positional group on this entire roster, that is certainly the one where you would go, oh. So that's an issue. We need something there. We are going to get to, as I said, a not so happy section of Blast from the Past here. Look, this has been an organization, and you don't get to where they've been since 1999 without a slew of moves that basically blew up in your face. We're going to highlight a couple of those moves here in a second. Garrett Bush at G-Bush91, Jeff Lloyd at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd, your latest Lockdown Browns. Appreciate everybody who makes us your first listen. The fine folks over at BetOnline, our partners at BetOnline, continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's NBA playoffs, which is now the finals, kids, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use the mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Locked On Browns, your daily Browns podcast here on YouTube. Also, wherever you can find your, you download your podcast. Garrett Bush, Jeff Lloyd in the building. Hey, we were talking about this a little bit off the air, and I thought it was a great opportunity to bring this up because, you know, when you're dealing with the Cleveland Browns and how terrible their past has been, especially since 1999, you always get a couple of guys who come across and you don't have any ball players, right? So you're so excited the second you see somebody that look like an athlete. If they even got a couple of muscles, if they look like they could throw the ball a little bit, maybe they were just fast in one direction. We would jump up and down. Oh, we got a guy here. This guy's going to be it. Man, we didn't have so many busts. I think, so we're going to talk about it in this section. Guys who kind of catfished us. Guys who, you meet somebody on the internet a little bit, and you be like, you don't look nothing like your pictures. These pictures ain't it. You know, Jeff, come on. I show up to the dinner and she look more like her brother than when she looked like her. I don't know who this is. I would say that the guy that really got me, and this is kind of obvious too. I think I fell for the Manziel scam. Scamzel got me. Johnny Scamzel. This dude, we was talking to Joe Thomas the other day. Joe Thomas was like, yeah, Johnny, he'd be in the huddle. He couldn't even call out the whole formation. He'd be like left, right, zoom, 25 stack option, whatever. Just, yeah, I don't know the rest. Y'all know the rest. Joe, what is the next? On two. Yeah, right. Come on out here. He said, bro, this dude, no preparation, no film study, was in the club late night, like all of the cliches that media members talk about. Not ready to play, not prepared, not being the first one in, last one out. He's not a leader of men. All the cliches. Little did we know that it was all facts, and this will never be done again. Johnny, man, this will never happen again. There's some rules that are never broken and can never be duplicated. Johnny Manziel went to Las Vegas during a game week and had a disguise on just to get his party. He had a full fake mustache, Billy Manziel. And I cannot believe, like I said, that was a real thing. Even to this day, he said, bro, I ain't got it. I ain't got it in me. I just want to smoke and drink, and y'all ain't serious about no football. And he had a lot of me. I would be like, man, put him in the game. Let's see what we could do. Boy, was our catfish doing that one. That was terrible. I do not want to go on a second date with Billy Manziel. Who you got, Jeff?
I'm just going to go with Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel, like, you remember back in the day, the N1 mixtapes, all these guys out there doing. Johnny Manziel was that type of quarterback. What he did at Texas A&M, but there was zero structure to it. Like, what everybody loved about Johnny Manziel was he broke the pocket. Everything went helter-skelter, and he made crazy-ish happen. There was no doubt about it. But what you saw when you tried to get him into the NFL was, okay, well, this is how we do it. And it was like, well, why are we calling the play? Why don't we just throw some guys into formation, and I'll see what happens? No, son, that's not how it works here. Okay, we're not going to do it this way. You have a Hall of Fame left tackle. We're going to call a play with structure here. You're not going to have to break the tackle. You're not going to have to break the pocket. They're not coming. So once you took this guy who was basically the greatest street football player that ever existed and tried to put him in the structure of professional football, now keep in mind, obviously Johnny didn't do himself any favors, and nobody loved himself, Johnny Manziel, more than Johnny Manziel. Nobody in this world, once he became a household name, and now look, we're talking about a little tiny dude, but Johnny Manziel, who was under 6 foot tall, once he won that Heisman, Johnny Manziel was now 6'7" because his head grew another 9 inches. Actually, funny enough, Johnny Manziel's ex-wife just had a baby with Nick Cannon. So if anybody was keeping up with how the
really?
Manziel, yes, indeed,
I didn't even know.
Yes,
that was the baby. Oh, God.
Yeah, well, remember he had a meltdown on social media a few months ago, and it was there was a baby shower for Nick Cannon and Johnny Manziel's ex-wife. But all seriousness, Johnny Manziel, hope your life's together. You're doing the best you can. But yeah, you certainly bilked this system and duped everybody in the process. Let's wreck this league. No, you meant let's wreck this club is what Johnny Manziel meant. For me, Kenny Britt. So I'm going to go back to when I started covering this team. Obviously, all signs were turning in 2017. The Browns held the #1 overall pick. There was talk of quarterbacks. Certainly could have gone a different way. Actually ended up with the quarterback who went number 12 overall in the 2017 NFL draft, and Deshaun Watson now here in the building. Kenny Britt, 4 years, $32.5 million. At the time, we're a bad Rams team. Kenny Britt, 1,000 yards. I knew him well from him playing here in New Jersey at Rutgers. 6'3", long strider, was very, very good in the vertical game. There was issues at Rutgers. There was issues in Tennessee when they made him the 30th overall pick in the first round in 2009. Kenny Britt had a 2-cent head. Kenny Britt, if there was a black and white car with lights on, Kenny Britt would probably be the guy who reached in the pocket, pulled the spliff out, and lit it up and said, "Ooh, maybe they won't notice." No, bro, they're going to notice. He gave zero effort. Took a player like Corey Coleman down with him because it was like, oh, well, when you're in the club, you need a wingman, so I'm going to take the young kid. He's good looking. He's got lots of money, too. And it was just an absolute mess. I still remember they were down in Houston in 2017 for a road game. Neither guy was going to play. But somehow they got in so much trouble at a road game in Houston, the Browns sent them home. Number one, if they weren't playing, what did you bring them for? I mean, like, why did you take them? Like, thanks for the free trip to Houston. We're gonna go club it. And obviously, Corey Coleman was from Texas. But Kenny Britt, and he lasted, I believe it was till December of 2017. This was a 4-year, $32.5 million contract. He didn't even make it till Christmas of year 1 on that contract. Didn't give a crap. Gave zero effort. And if he had any inkling, what did you think? The team was going to be good? It was obvious the team was not going to be that good. You signed the deal. You were supposed to be one of the main reasons. Maybe the team would win a game or two, would show a little bit of promise. Absolute farce. Kenny Britt, stole a whole bunch of money in his time in the NFL. But that, for me, was the one because you thought, all right, here's this. You got him. You got Corey Coleman. And there we are, 3-4 weeks into 2017. I'm watching Deshaun Kaiser throw balls to – I didn't even know who the hell is that? I mean, you had no idea. But you had it set up where you thought you maybe had a legitimate NFL receiver in Kenny Britt. You had a first-round pick you thought could play some ball in Corey Coleman. Just an absolute wash. But Kenny Britt, for me, was the one in my coverage with the Browns where it was just like, dude, just go away. You don't even want to hear the name anymore. And then Josh Gordon came back later that year. They're doing a drill, and you saw the effort. They threw a ball to Josh Gordon. He just punted it. He was literally a receiver. He just punted it. Kenny Britt took 2 steps. They threw the ball, and he just turned to the left and let the ball sail away. It was like, all right, dude, so you're going to give us absolutely nothing. For me, Kenny Britt, it was an absolute joke.
God bless your soul for covering that team back then. Oh, my God. Just hearing some of the names, I get like PTSD. I'm just like, oh, my God. Like, I just want to bless your soul, Jeff, for what you had to endure.
Oh, yeah. Well, and as everybody knows who was in the beginning of the infancy of the show, basically what it was is we did a Friday pregame show. The Browns are going to get their butts kicked this weekend by this team, and here's how it's going to happen. Monday's show was the Browns got their butts kicked this weekend, and we told you how this was going to happen. Then it was NFL draft, rinse, repeat. Now the Browns are going to get their butts kicked again. But, look, obviously times have changed, and it's a great time here now. Garrett Bush now on with me as co-host here of Locked On Browns, available on all your podcast platforms. Make sure you're subscribed, following, 5-star ratings, written reviews, now available on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Keep it up in the chat or the comments, the likes, please. The more you come here, the more others come here. And it's not like you got to get into it with anybody. We just want to draw as many eyes as possible as we try to give you the best Cleveland Browns coverage we can. Make sure you're checking out Garrett at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Make sure you're checking out the Barbershop, always Saturday mornings this time of year, summer with maybe some more days off. Maybe catch Garrett a little bit more often over on 92.3 The Fan. Make sure you're following at G-Bush91, myself at Jeff_LJ_Lloyd. The show itself at Locked On Browns. Follow back account on Twitter. DMs are always open. Questions, ideas, comments. Hit us up with anything. Had some fun here today. Question marks, concerns on offense. Flipped it up to defense. And some of the biggest Cleveland flops that me and Garrett can remember. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on the LOB. Let's go Browns.